The question we want to answer today is, what do I even say in the DMs? Because people do outreach, like quite a lot of outreach with like Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatsoever. And most people are actually quite annoyed because you have a random guy just messaging you and you don't really know like what this person is about. And most of the time that person just wants to say you something. So how do you become a person that actually gets more bookings, like someone who's actually not annoying? And I think we have to see it from the bigger scope. Like in the end, obviously you want to say something, but what do you say? Okay, if we look at the, let's say, strategy to actually do outreach, you have to define that first. Like we have to think about, okay, what kind of messages we want to say. And if you know what kind of messages we want to send, then you can actually define them for their own. In this case, I would show you like a, let's say, idea, like an overall general idea. It's not really generalized, or let's say it's not really specialized into like a niche. Like if you're a fitness coach, it's more like an idea, let's say, that you can use for your own. But if you want, like, for me to personalize this framework to your situation, write it in the comments, and then I'm going to do a video about it. So the first thing, the first step with outreach is always the opener, right? I mean, it makes sense. You need to send something. Like, what do you even send? There are a lot of like ways you can send the opener, but I'm going to talk about it in another topic. Then basically the next step would be to ask for business. So basically you just want to tell them like what you're about, because people try to, be more indirect. And I mean, if someone just messages you, like someone you don't know, I mean, it's kind of obvious that they want something from you, right? So, and most of the time it's just they want to say you something. So it's way easier to just go in like, hey, I am this and this, we are doing this for this kind of niche, whatever, and we are trying to help you with that. So it's way easier, way better to just go in, because you have to think it as well. So if you just, for example, go in, you are like super indirect, right? You just like you don't want to like you're not redirect. Okay, why is it so big? So if you just go in here and you don't want to talk about the business directly, you're just wasting your time. Like how many DMs do you want to send until you get direct? Just so inefficient. It's just annoying, to be honest. And if you send out like hundreds or even thousands of DMs per day, it's just too much work. So just go in. Now, the next few steps are clarifying questions, because in the end, you don't want to sell your service to anyone. You want to work with people that are actually qualified to work with you. And it makes your life so much easier, because if you work with someone who doesn't need your service, or maybe in terms of like personality doesn't really match your kind of business, it's going to be so much pain to work with that person. And especially in our niche with consulting, coaches, niches, agencies, you want to have like testimonials as well. And in order to get testimonials, right? So if you want to get testimonials, right? You want to show people that we actually have a good service. We need to like deliver a good service. So now I don't know what is this actually like. Why is it like this big? Whatever. Like we want testimonials, and we want, like, in order to do that we need to deliver good service. The problem is, if we have someone who's not qualified to work with us, it's going to be super difficult to get like one of the good testimonials. That's why one of like the biggest problem, like courses, for example, is that they don't have like a high success rate, because you're just giving out information and people just have to do it themselves. And if you have like a 5% like success rate, imagine that, like most people are going to talk bad about the course. That's why like courses have like really, really bad reputation. So you have to ask like a sequence of questions like, can I actually solve that problem? Because if you can't solve the problem, it doesn't make sense to work with them. Like you don't want to work with people that you that you can't help. So that's like something that I need to reiterate. And in this case, we talk about 5 clarifying questions. Obviously, it's just a number. Like if you have more questions, you can do so. If you have less, you can do so as well. But there are, let's say, core questions that you should always answer. Like one of the core questions, like if they have money, like can they actually afford your services? If they don't have the money to buy your service, then it doesn't make sense to work with them. Also, let's say if they have like 3K they have and your service is like 5K, it's also not really good to lower your prices, because in the end they're not going to value as much like the work they do as much as they would do when they pay 5K. So now also, do they have the problem, right? Do they actually have the problem that you want to solve? And maybe even, let's say, the bigger question is that, can your solution that you're offering, like is your offer actually, let's say, is there like a match of your offer with their situation? Because sometimes, for example, if you are like a fitness coach, to explain it briefly, if you offer like, let's say, nutrition advice for keto or some kind of other like way of diet, right? But they are like vegan, then it doesn't really make sense to offer your like mechanism to their situation, because they're just not, they're not going to use it. And that's why we have to ask like a series of questions, like, hey, for example, if you're a fitness coach, have you tried that kind of diet? Have you tried using this? Have you tried fasting, for example, whatever, right? If they've tried it before and they didn't get the result, we might need to dig deeper. And that's also the nice thing about like asking questions, because you want to know the situations, right? You want to know, like you want to, in the end, let's get this right, you want to tailor your solution to their problem. In the end, you want to be in a position where you can have your offer, but actually be so personalized. Oh, I can't talk. Like so tailored to their own problem that they feel like that you actually can like give like the best service. So yeah, and after like all that, if you have all the clarifying questions, if you have all the information you need, you're gonna propose a time. Like you have to propose a call. So which is basically just most of the time like a 15-minute call, because you don't want to pitch your ideas first, right? You don't want to pitch your service directly. I mean, if they want to buy, sure, you can do it, but ideally you just want to like get to know the like situation even more, because all this this is gonna happen in the DMs. So do some DMs back and forth. But in this case, you want to go into like a calendar, right? You want to have like a call. You want to actually talk to that person, and you want to take some time to actually, see that person as well and build like a small relationship. So now, what can you actually say when a person is not responding? Like in each of these steps, people can just ghost you, which is quite normal. So, and you can't be like discouraged by just one, like, after like getting to this point and then just giving up. You can't really do that. Like that's why we need follow-ups. So, but the thing is, follow-ups, what do you say and how much follow-up do you want to do? I mean, it also depends on like you, to be honest, if you want to do a lot of follow-ups, or if you just want to like do one follow-up and just give up after that. But here's some ideas that you can actually use. Like after, let's say, the opener, right? If you send the opener and they don't answer for like 2 or 3 days, you can just say, hey, John, whatever, just following up on my previous messages. Do you have any ideas, thoughts, whatever? Or hey, are you still with me? You can, at some point, like the first message is going to be more like, hey, be nice, let's say. But the longer you wait, let's say the longer the person is actually progressing in your follow-up system, the more risks you can take, the more direct you can be. So let's say the person is, at this point where they actually responded first, right? So if the person responds, it's a somewhat good sign. If they're just ignoring you outright, it's just not a really good sign. Obviously, right? So, but if they are responding, like, what can you say after that? Hey, in this case, if you actually pitch your idea, which is like, or whatever, if you send a clarifying question and they ghost you, you can just, try to send these kind of follow-ups as well. So you have to send different follow-ups for different kind of phases that you are in the workflow. So also, obviously, there are also, why is it so blurry? There are also like messages you can send when you actually post time, post a call, and also after you actually had the call. So basically, you have different kind of steps. And in this kind of diagram, you see like the 4 steps, right? But yeah, you want to think about, you want to tailor this to your own situation, to your own niche. So also with the name, right? You're not going to say the name like this, right? You're not going to do step by step. Also, like in this case, if you want to have like a funny gift, you need to like a funny gift that is actually like tailored to your own brand. So yeah, these are some ideas. Let's say these are some strategies you can use if the person is not responding, right? If you want to if you want to send some things in your DMs right here. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to write in the comments. If you want me to apply this to your own situation, like if you have like a business, for example, in the fitness niche, because I am really into fitness, I know the topic quite well. If you want me to do it and apply this framework into your situation, just write in the comments and I'm going to do a video just for you. So yeah, thank you for watching, and yeah, see you next time. Bye.